In this lesson, we will check out the 3D cameras in After Effects. So let's make a new project in the project window here. And I'm going to bring a couple of assets to work with. So double click on the project area and let's bring this logo. Let's bring all these here. Okay. I need a new composition, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new composition. And this will be our 3D camera. And these settings are okay. We want like 1280 by 720, 24 frames per second. This is all good. We don't need that much of a duration. Let's take this down to maybe 5 seconds. And let's go ahead and look at this. Let's get back to our view. Let's look at the timeline the way we are used to, looking at the camera from a flat view in After Effects. And this is how we usually see our project. And I'm going to start dragging these down here. Before I do that, let me create a new, like a background. Let's go ahead and add a background color. So this is a solid. We have a, so that will be our background. And now I'm going to start bringing these assets here. We have this logo. Then I'm going to bring these other icons. So we have like, we want to animate these components, but we would like to rotate around them and we will want to just position them in a 3D space. How can we do that? Well, what we need now is to introduce, first of all, we want to make these layers 3D. Now they're definitely not, they're 2D layers. And you'll see how this will work. There's a lesson that actually talks about all the layers in 3D, and it analyzes those in detail. What we want to do now is bring a camera, because what we're looking at right now is through our active camera is this just, you'll see this new pull down menu is the active camera is just our front view here in this flat view in After Effects. What we can do is to go to our layer and bring a camera object. If you click on that, you get some camera settings. Before you create the camera, you have some options here. We have either a 1-node or a 2-node camera. 2-node camera is the best to work with because it has a target, point of interest, as they call it here. And we can actually target certain areas and move the camera around the point of interest. So we need these 2 nodes to work this much better. And we have a preset. Those are like the lenses that we can use. Let's use a 35mm lens for now. And we have the ability to actually, make different units, or there are other options here that we're going to be looking at later on. We can enable depth of field and all these other options, and that's going to I'm going to talk about that in another lesson. Let's click OK. Now the camera here, now the camera is in our viewport. We don't really see it here right now. If we change our active camera to front, you can see that now we are looking at the camera from the back. Go left. So this is the point of interest. It's a little bit confusing, so I'm going to go back to our active camera. And before we even start, I'm going to go to these layers and turn all of these layers into 3D layers. Now they're 2D layers, and they can't really manipulate it in 3D space. What we need to do is to go and look at this icon here, this 3-dimensional cube. It says 3D layer allows this layer to be manipulated in 3 dimensions. That's what we want to do. So let's go ahead and click all these on. So now we have enabled manipulation in 3D space for all these layers. you might, if you can see the change already by just grabbing one of these layers. You can see that we have like a gizmo that looks pretty much like one of our gizmos in 3D applications. So we can move these on the Z, we can move them on the Y, we can move them on the X, or we can move them in all directions, as we'll see in a minute. Now, this viewport doesn't really help me much to move around and see where these objects are located in 3D space. So basically what I need to do is go to my, we have some pull down menus here. We have where we're looking at. So this is changing your viewport, and this is changing your configuration in the interface. Basically now we have one view. That's what we're used to most of the times in After Effects. If we go down here, we see two views horizontal, then we break our interface into two view panels. The left panel here, the left viewport, is set to top. The right one is set to our active camera. Let's set this, instead of top, into a custom view 1, which gives us like a nice idea of a perspective, in, the perspective kind of viewport that we are also used to see in 3D applications. If you click on the camera layer, you can see that the camera is a little bit off our view. We could zoom out from the way that we usually do from our viewport and just kind of move away, and you can see that we can see the camera. We can actually move the camera. We don't want to do that though. We don't want to move away and kind of get far away from our viewport. Let's go back to fit. We want to be able to navigate inside the 3D space that After Effects is providing us right this moment. So what we need to do is go up here to these tools, and you can see up on your left corner that there's this new tool that is introduced. It's called the Unified Camera tool. This Unified Camera tool gives us the opportunity to orbit around our viewport. We can track and X, Y, and track Z, which is zoom. Let's just click on the camera. The shortcut for this is C. Now you can see that pressing, getting the Unified Camera tool, our cursor changed into this camera icon. Now if I left click and hold, I can zoom, I can arc around. Or if I middle click and hold, I can pan. Right click and hold and drag up, down, left to right, you can actually get the zoom. So what we're doing now is we are just navigating around this area. This is actually great because now this is all we have to know about navigation, and we can get started with animating these assets in 3D.